People First podcast is a show presented by people with learning disabilities for our friends and community. We talk about issues that are important to us and interview interesting people to find out new information. This is our way to make a difference and have our voices heard.
Welcome to the People First podcast. We are welcoming Tim Howells to our show. Tim is the important member of Bradford Council strategy, and that is what we have been on the show to talk about the book for the county in the to the club robbery.
So thank you very much for having me. So my name's, as you just said, Tim Howells. I work in the public health team at Bradford Council. And my role here is about how we can improve the health of our residents. And a lot of the work that I'm focusing on is around food, which is why I'm here today. So I'd like to thank you again for having me. I look forward to the questions and hopefully give you some questions back as well.
Could you explain the Bradford Good Food Strategy in a simple way for us?
Of course, yeah. So the food strategy, it sounds boring. It sounds like it's a document, which it is. It's a written document that gives us a way of understanding food and understanding everything around food in Bradford. It looks at lots of different things. It looks at how we can improve the food that we grow at home. It looks at the food that we buy in the shops. And crucially, it looks at the food that we eat. And the idea of a strategy, the food strategy, is about how we can help residents and how we can help organisations, everyone that is in Bradford, everyone that lives here, about how we can improve that food for them. And it looks at how we can improve how food is grown and how it's prepared, how it's transported, and then at the end of the day, how the food's eaten. And the document was created by Bradford, by residents, by families, by people from across the district, to help us really create something that means something to everyone. And it's about how we can better support every person that lives in Bradford to live a happier and healthier life, whilst improving the type of food that we have access to.
We have done work about stability, where is vegetable food the future?
Yeah, great. So that's a great question. I'll start by just saying when we say sustainable food and what sustainability is with food, it covers a lot of things. It covers it covers the type of food that we eat. It covers how that food is grown and it's produced, how it's packaged, and then how it's transported to us in a way that doesn't impact on the environment that we live. So in other words, it's about how food isn't ruining our ecosystem, the environment, and nature around us. The important part of and your question about why is it the future? It helps us tackle climate change, and it's important to look at how far food has travelled before we eat it. So has it come from a different country? Has it come from locally? Obviously, local food has a lower impact because it doesn't have as many miles to drive. And also how food is packaged. Does it come in plastic? Because we know that plastic is not sustainable and it creates pollution and it's not great. So really, it's important that we eat and we produce and we buy food that helps us tackle climate change and make sure that everything is, reusable and environmentally friendly. And an important why it's the future is that it helps us to make sure that the future that we all live in, the environment in which we live in becomes suitable for ourselves and for future generations, and making sure that we have access to healthy, low-cost food that doesn't impact on the environment.
The cost of everything has had the impact on also why have good options like organic food offers more expensive.
Yeah, and that's a really good question. And we often think that, organic food is healthier food. And actually, I think an important thing here is to recognise that just because something is organic, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the healthy option. We can all live healthy lives and have healthy diets without it being organic. A lot of food that we eat, so for example, frozen fruit and vegetables, tinned fruit and vegetables, are also healthy, and they provide us with the nutrients and the minerals that we might need, but they aren't necessarily organic. So we can still get good quality food at low cost, but through things like frozen and tinned food. Obviously, your question about the rising cost of food is absolutely right. Food cost has gone up across the world. The production of food cost has gone up. How it's transported, how it's packaged, and how it's sold has all gone up, and it has affected a lot of people. And what we, as everyone that lives and works in a district, need to help promote that we can still access healthy food, but for a low cost. And that for me that's an important point. So I think focusing on, don't worry about organic, but actually fruit and vegetables and stuff that doesn't have so much sugar in is the important part.
A lot of people with disabilities struggle to cook for. Do you have donation on how we can eat well at home?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and there is a lot of confusion actually that exists in the food world. It makes it very difficult for people to understand what is a healthy food and what is not healthy, and how do I prepare a meal and how do I prepare something that's nutritionally valuable. So the NHS has some great straightforward guidance around what is healthy and what's not healthy. So they have something called the Eat Well plate, which is available on the NHS website. And that goes through everything that you should eat and things that you should avoid. And it gives you an idea of how to have a balanced diet. With its pictographic as well. It has different forms of it shows you how. Shows you the different types of food, shows you different types of meals. So that's a really great resource. And in Bradford, we have something called Living Well. And that's our programme that exists in the district to help improve the lives of residents. And we have our own resources. We have something called Swap Well to Eat Well. And that has simple, straightforward menu options of how you prepare food, all low cost or healthy, and it has videos, it has images of food, and it has very straightforward ideas of how to create food. Really, the most important thing to remember when we prepare food and when we are choosing the type of food that we eat, it should just be looking at three things. One, low sugar. So does the food have sugar in? Two, does it have salt in? So can we reduce the salt that we eat? And three, does it have a lot of fat in it, saturated fat? So can we reduce the food that we eat that's got fat in? And then actually you'll find that those three things are very easy to sort of take out of your meals to make them much healthier. And I always say it's about making small, simple swaps with what we eat, and that will make us healthier. So don't worry about the complicated side of food and food preparation. It's about those small swaps.
Does it make for food accessible difficulty?
Yeah, food accessibility around food is very difficult. And if anyone has been on social media, or if you've been on and watched the TV, or if you've listened to the radio, a lot of people like to talk about food. And a lot of the messages around food are quite complex and quite confusing. And it makes it difficult to understand what should I be eating and what shouldn't I be eating. And actually, food shouldn't be difficult and it shouldn't be complicated. And I mentioned about the NHS and living well. We have all those different resources for you to use. But really, it's a focus on fat, sugar, and salt being the most important part of things that we can cut out. And then just one of the questions earlier was about the kind of healthy food and what that looks like. It's about fruit and vegetables and making sure that we just have a balanced diet. We get complicated messages about nutrition and the different things around nutrition, be it protein or carbohydrates. We don't need to worry so much about that. It's about having a balanced diet and just cutting out those things that are not so healthy for us.
How long will it take for a good food strategy to have an impact?
So the strategy doesn't have a date. So there's no specific date when we say, oh, it's finished. We've achieved our aim. It's a long-term vision. So it's something that we're going to work on for probably the next 5 to 10 years, because there's lots of work to be done. And those changes that we want to make, the positive changes, aren't going to happen overnight. Some of them might take a year, some of them might take that 5 years, some of them might take longer. Now, we do have lots of different projects that we run as part of the food strategy. So we do work around, we support schools with their catering and menus and helping change menus within schools. Those things are much shorter. So we'll do those, the next year or so. And we also need national government to help us. So a lot of our ability to implement and change our food needs government support and what's called policy and changes within government approach, coordination, financial input, etc. So all of these things are important, and all of those things need to work together for us to achieve the output, the impact, as you've just said.
How can good right of disabled people get involved with the good food strategy?
Yeah. So there's lots of great ways that you all can get involved in helping us with the food strategy. Obviously, the strategy is something for everyone. It's for everyone that lives in Bradford, everyone that works in Bradford. And there's lots of different ways that you can get involved. So we have a website, on the Living Well website, has lots of top tips of things that you can do to help improve food. And a few of those I'll give you an example of, because I think some of them would be a great way for all of you to be involved in this work. So, for example, have any of you been involved in growing food? Or would you be interested in growing food?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, do lots of growing vegetables and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And do you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Good.
Self-sufficiency with Janet Claw.
Yeah, excellent.
I did it well Bradford on work experience Hazel back.
Yeah, great. So growing food is easy. It can be fun, and it's a great way that everyone can be part of looking and enjoying how food is grown, how it's created, and then eating fresh food. So I think growing food is a great thing that you could all do, and you could do as a group, or you could do with your friends and families. There's other examples of stuff that you can help with. So do you have anything around waste food? So do you compost at all?
Recycle and compost.
So compost is a great way of helping reduce waste food and turning the waste food into something usable. And the council next year will be helping all residents to be able to compost food, which is will be a great thing for everyone to be part of next year. And then simple things like plastic. So when you buy food or when you buy things that you might want to eat, do they contain plastic, or is it wrapped in plastic? And we call it single-use plastic because you use it once and then you bin it. So can we reduce the plastic that we use? So that could be a...
Recycle. Wash it out, and then wash it out and check it out, and then for a recycling box, you dry.
And I say, the thing I say is you reduce, you reuse, and you recycle, and which is what you've just described, which is great. And then other things like when you buy, if you were to buy fruit and vegetables, do you buy fruit and vegetables that are British fruit and vegetables that come from Britain, or do we buy stuff that's imported?
How many of you guys do your own shopping?
I don't.
I do
Sometimes go with Father.
Yes, I do, yeah.
I do always shopping with my mum.
Do you go do your shopping, Nathan, or does someone shop for you? Someone shops for you? Yeah.
Great.
So what do we think about that? If other people are shopping for us, do we maybe need to ask?
Ask us.
Yeah, ask.
Yeah.
This is what I'd be looking for.
Yeah, and it's the same with things like if the product has lots of sugar in or lots of salt in, and asking those questions. And it sounds boring, but actually it's quite important, because actually those things can help improve our health and help us live healthier. So there are a couple of ideas to start with. We've got plenty of others on our website with lots of different top tips, which I'm happy to share. And what do you usually cook?
I don't do hammer food. I just do the wisdom meal food.
Mm-hmm. And what's your favourite?
Bread and mash, roast dinners, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Chicken sandwich, chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken chow mein and that.
Yeah, good.
Lots of different things, really. I am going favourite one, really.
Have to. What is the website?
Yeah, so our website is called mylivingwell.co.uk, and has lots of different resources and kind of hints and tips of things that you can do. And we're always changing things and adding things to it. So if there's things that you all are doing here and what you do at home and what have you, we can certainly add to it. We can add in different ideas, and we can share things with you. So we can sort of make it even better than it is.
There's a cup with them. Before with the about eating healthy exercise, sleep, household.
We help you have the more about the food, good food, such and learn about some ways that you could get involved in the future discussion for we say of. Do you have anything else to add before we end the show?
No, nothing else to add from me. I'll say thank you very much again for the opportunity to come and meet you all and answer your questions. Hopefully it has been interesting. If you do have any other questions later, then you're welcome to contact me, and we can. I will pick those up separately, and we can do something else in the future if that was of interest, and hopefully look forward to kind of working with you all going forwards.
So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Remember to comment, like, share on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. You can find us by searching of People First podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.